Good morning. Happy Tuesday and welcome to Life After 50 Days. This is Father Mark, and as I greet you on this Tuesday, I do so back in Thibodeau, home from my own 30-day retreat. And before we get into 50 days and conversation about what's next, let me just first begin by saying thank you to all of you for your intercession, for your prayer, and for all that I received on my 30-day retreats from the Sacred Heart of Jesus, from the generosity of God the Father, aided by perhaps your own intercession. Just to kind of help you appreciate the gift, my own 30-day retreat was life-changing, and it has been an experience of Ephesians 3:20, where God can do immeasurably more in us than we could ever ask or imagine. And I think that's the only way for me to describe my retreat, is that what God did in my life was more than I could have ever dreamed of. And as I say that it was life-changing, that's the only words I have right now. It's going to take me a little while to find the words, to get what's on the inside out there on the outside. And I appreciate your patience, and just again want to begin this morning with words of thank you to you for your prayer. I also want to say thank you to those of you who made it through the 50 days. If you were able to pray every day with the meditation as it came into you, praise God. If you weren't able to pray every day, but you did all 50 meditations, maybe you kind of caught up, you might say, whenever you fell off, then praise God. And for some of us, these last 50 days have been filled with some fits and starts. Maybe there were moments where you were more faithful and engaged, and times where you just lost your attention or focus or discipline. But no matter where you find yourself today, that's okay too. And I'm just excited that we're together in some conversation this morning, asking the Lord about what's next in both of our lives. Let's begin today, as we will now from the rest of this week, talk about what are some things that are next for you in your prayer. For those of you who finished 50 days and are asking what's next, let's talk about how you might say, keep this going. And let's just begin with that statement. Whatever you experienced in those 50 days, whether it was life-changing or whether it just kind of helped you pray, whatever grace was bestowed upon you was not a feeling, and it wasn't a mere gift. It was a person. You experienced Jesus Christ. And the good news is that that gift is not going away, right? People often ask me as I wrap up retreats with them, how do we keep it going? And you've heard me say this, and I'm going to say it again today on this Tuesday. Nothing special about or magical about a retreat, whether it's my 30-day retreat or the last 50 days of your life. Three things happen on a retreat. Three things happen in the last 50 days, right? You had a desire for God. God always has a desire for you. And what 50 days was a favorable environment for your desire and God's desire to kind of come together, right? All 50 days was. And giving you the meditation and walking you through the meditation, it just created an atmosphere, an environment where your desire for God can meet His desire for you. And as we move forward now, two of those three are always there, right? You still have a desire for God. That's why you're listening this morning. God has a desire for you. That's what it means to be God. And the key this week is just to create a favorable environment about where God's desire and your desire can meet. And one of the things that we're going to do is, starting today, I want to encourage you to go back and look at the previous 50 days. What were the meditations that maybe touched you the most? What was the one or two or three days of prayer that stay with you? You can recall them just by even just looking at the calendar. Let's start with what God already did in your life as we ask, what can you continue to do in your life? And every moment where we experience God, we are limited creatures who are experiencing an unlimited God. That means that in every experience of grace, there's no way we can receive or contain or absorb everything that's there in the moment. And that's going to be the key for you post 50 days, is just returning to some of the passages that meant the most to you. And so your homework for today is to look back on those 50 days and just look at the calendar or your phone or whatever you want to do, your journal maybe if you have one of those. Ask yourself what were the meditations that made the most to you and just write those out. And then one day at a time, just return to those. We'll give you some more coaching as the rest of this week unfolds about how do we continue to create a favorable environment or find passages that we're going to pray with. But let's begin today with just a little bit of homework, staying focused on the present moment. Ask yourself, what is it that God did do for you? And as we return for the rest of the week's conversation, we'll talk about how to keep things going. It's great to be home. It's great to be with you. And I can't wait to hear more from you about what God did in your life in 50 days. Until we see each other tomorrow morning, God bless you.